Hey, it's Dr. Tartt, and it's Suicide Prevention Month, and I want to give you a fact and talk about something that is going to scare you and is going to awaken you at the same time. The fact is, men do kill themselves. Men kill themselves. Of all the suicides that take place, 75% of the time, it is done by a man. Not only do men attempt suicide more, but when they attempt suicide, it's more fatal. So not very many men attempt suicide for attention. When men tend to attempt suicide, it is to have a finality to it. It's because they do not want to be here. Matter of fact, in the last 20 years, we've seen close to a 30 to 35% increase in the amount of men who are committing suicide. This is a crisis. And I know you're thinking like, man, you think about men being the stronger of the genders, right? Strong black man, strong man, right? The rock, the anchor, the provider. If someone breaks into the house, you think it's the man who's going to be there, and it is. But when it comes to our mental wellness, we are not the stronger creatures. And I want to tell you 3 reasons why and what you can do about it and how to really screen for suicide, because it's not what you think, all right? So number one reason why men are more at risk for suicide. 1, we don't talk. We don't talk. We have this idea. What is the point of talking about something if it's not going to change the circumstances? So what happens is, what's ever going on in our life, whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety, and there are men out there who deal with anxiety. There are men who deal with depression. There are men who deal with stress. There are men who deal with shame. There are men who deal with inadequacy is the biggest one. So if you find a man who feels incompetent in what he wants to be competent in, so basically he sees no value to what he brings to the table, right? He's not making enough money. He's not big enough. He's not strong enough. He's not smart enough. He's not working. He can't provide. He can't do this. He can't do that. Inadequacy. Whenever you see a man struggling with inadequacy, almost always you're going to deal with some type of mental wellness issue. However he chooses to act out, whether that's drinking, smoking, sex, sleeping, avoidance, anxiety, depression, anger, irritability, you name it. And so when we don't talk about what's bothering us, it only builds and it only grows. And I want you to imagine it's like a cancer, and it only metastasizes. It only gets bigger. It only gets bigger until it consumes you to where you'll find yourself thinking, man, life would just be better if I weren't here, right? If I could just get away from the thoughts in my mind, because it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger every month, I just feel better. All right, I'm just keeping it real. So 1, we don't talk. Number 2, we don't connect. All right. So the lowest rates of suicide actually are African-American women. All right. One of the lowest rates. And that's typically because she has someone who's going to notice that sister girl's not doing so well. She ain't been to church. She's not herself. She's not really getting her hair and nails done. Something has dropped off, right? Let me go do a wellness check on my girl and find out what's going on. And they end up talking. So she is part of a tribe. And so because she's connected and protected and thought of, all right, and checked on, when she's not doing well, she has a tribe to be able to nourish her and nurture her back to wellness or get her the help that she needs. All right, so she's connected. All right, what happens to babies when they don't feel connected? So if you have a baby and you feed the baby and you give the baby water, but you don't touch it, you don't caress it, you don't hold it, you don't give it love, that baby dies. That baby fails to thrive from birth. We know people like that never felt a sense of touch, and therefore they have no emotion. They don't understand connection. All right. So 2, men don't connect. We're solo dolo. We're in our man cave and bat caves, and we don't talk. Right. So when you don't talk and you don't connect, double whammy. Number 3, we don't change. We don't change. So there's an issue, and it's like, look, you need to deal with your anger issue. You need to deal with your irritability issue. You need to deal with how you deal with stress. You shut down, or you storm, or you're passive aggressive, or you drink, or you smoke, or you cheat, or you fight, or whatever it is. Whatever it is, we don't change. And so what we do is we do the same thing harder. All right? Like, you just accept me. This is who I am. You know, no one can change me, right? So when you look at it, well, if what's not working, you don't change. That means you suffer for it. And a number of men I see just feel impotent. Impotent as far as their ability to change their finances, change relationships, change their business status, change how much money they make, change their statures, change their power, change how they deal with things. And because they don't self-develop, they don't go to therapy because they see it as a weakness, or they believe that talking about things or you know what, the world should accept me as is. And I don't have what's called internal locus of control. Internal locus of control, internal, inside of me, locus, around me, of control, right? I'm breaking this down. That means I don't believe that I have the ability to control and change what the problem is. It's all external. The world is this, the world is that. All right, they won't do me like this. The white man does this, black man does this, black woman does this, all these things, you know, all those are external. But when it's internal and saying, you know what, the God I serve, the God in me can see through this, all right? And, or you know what, I'm strong enough, smart enough, or I'm willing to go sit down and consult with someone with how to figure this out, right? So when you don't do that, can you see why our suicide rates are higher than women's and higher? We have to change that. So how do you fix that, all right? It's the opposite. Talk. Talking decreases the stress. What's the point of it? You're going to feel less stressed after you talk about it. Right? All right. I just talked to my own psychologist the other week about something that was stressing me, and afterwards I felt better. And I had two. It says in the Bible, iron sharpens iron. All right, and it also says plans fail. With lack of advisors, with many advisors, they succeed. I believe that's Proverbs 15:22, right? And so when we look at that, it's telling you in the Word that, and another one is confess your sins or your troubles one to another so that you can be healed. The prayers of the righteous availeth much. The Word is still living and breathing man of family. So what that says is that when you have a counsel, all right, you have people counseling you. And this is the way you look at it, men. When you look at it and say, look, the presidents of colleges and corporations and boards, they have councils. They have a board of directors. Pastors have a board of directors. I know that's a headache, trust me. Oh, Lord. We won't go there, all right? But counsel them. All right, counsel them so that you can have the wisest advice. Even if I disagree with you, at least I can consider it and I have more conviction about what I'm doing. So we have to talk so we can feel better and be wiser and decrease the stress. Take some of it out. It's like throwing up. If you're getting sick from inside, right, and your stomach hurts, throw it up. No, it's stinky, it's nasty, it's horrible experience, it's painful. But once it's outside of you, you feel better internally. You can go on with the day and you can have grit and resilience versus letting it build up to where it takes over your mind and you don't want to be here anymore. 2, connect. Men need a lion's den. They need other men. You need other men you can confide in, women you can confide in, you know, to be able to connect. You need a tribe to say, yo, this is what's going on. And anyone in business knows you have to have a tribe. I sit down with many talented brothers and sisters and say, tell me why this is not working. What's going on? Or let me tell you what's going on with my daughter. What's going on with my wife? Let me tell you what's going on with this. Let me tell you what's going on with me. I keep doing the same thing. And so when I'm doing that and I feel connected, I am supported, and there's strength in numbers. You know that a fist is stronger than any member of the fingers, any digits. And these digits is stronger as a fist. So if you look at that, when I'm connected, I'm surrounded, I am stronger. And then self-develop. I see a lot of men that talk, and they talk, but they don't self-develop. You say you want a bigger body, but you don't get in the gym, all right? You say you want to be smart, but you don't go to school. You say you want to be bigger on social media, but you don't invest in any social media courses. You say you want to be better, let's keep it 100, at relationships, but you won't invest in a marriage coach. You won't go to counseling, all right? How are you going to be strong if you don't develop? All right, Bishop Bronner, my pastor over at Word of Faith, gave me this formula I want to lay out to you, all right? He said it's 4 D's when it comes to you getting better. 4 D's of getting better. All right, number 1 is you have to declare what it is that you want. So you make a declaration. I want more money. I want this position. You declare it, right? And then right after the declaration is going to come the 2nd D, which is distress. All right. As soon as you say you're going to declare something, how many of you are, then the water heater goes out, then the air conditioning, then you get an accident, then your son gets arrested, then your daughter does this, and then mama and daddy and senior care, all these fees just hit you, right? I declared I want, and here comes this deluge of all these things against you, right? There's distress, but I want you to understand that that is intentional. It is part of the process for the 3rd D, which is development. See, you can't develop and grow. You can't develop and grow without the distress, because the distress is what tears down the foundation, the demolition of what was there. See, you can't be bigger on the same structure. So if it's going to be a structure, you have to expand the structure, which means you have to break the structure so you can build up. It's like in the gym. You can't have stronger muscles unless you distress the muscles, make them hurt. You feel worse coming out the gym than you did going in, but what's happening is that it is developing stronger and bigger muscle. You understand what I'm saying? More flexibility. All right, but you're expanding as a leader. The more distress you go on, now you're developing leadership skills, communication skills, stamina skills. Do you have stamina to see this through? And then that leads to the fourth D, which is demonstration. Now you're able to demonstrate. You're actually able to do the skills, family, but you have to go through the process. But if you won't self-develop, if you won't go through the pain of talking about it and talking about their trauma, talking about who touched you, talk about who offended you, talk about being passed over, talk about systemic racism, talk about feeling undervalued by your own wife, your own girlfriend, your own friends, your own family, talk about it. Talk about it. That's a big deal. That is a big deal. All right? Now here's how you screen for it. All right? You don't ask men if you're going to kill yourself. Because most men see right through that question and they say no because they don't want to stress you. They don't want to bother you, and they don't want you to stop them if they have that intention. All right? What you ask instead is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with your life? And you look for the 1, 2, 3s, and 4s. Now, that doesn't mean that they want to kill themselves, but it's telling you that there's an overwhelming unhappiness in their lives, right? And most men are going to be honest when you ask them that way. They're going to tell you, I'm feeling like a 3, all right? And you ask them what's not going well, and then you ask them what could go better to make you feel like a 5 or a 6 or a 7. You also look for a man who feels like a burden. Like, you know what? The family would be better off. Life would be better off. The company would be better off. Children would be better off if I weren't here. Because I'm a burden. I actually cost them money. I actually cost them stress. I actually cause them to despair. I'll never get it right. When you start hearing a man talk about inadequacy, you hear a man saying he doesn't want to talk. You see a man isolate. You see his appearance start to fail. You see him stop caring. You see him giving up. You see that with Kanye. His appearance dropped off. Weight drops off. Just mood is irregular. Sound of his music is different, right? You can just kind of pick up and say something's not right. You can feel it, all right? You need to connect with that brother. You need to ask him. You need to go right into fix-it mode of helping that brother feel more inadequate and helping him not to be a burden or feel like a burden to others, and get that brother into counseling and destigmatize and say, no, this is the strongest thing that you can do, because tapping out and distressing your family is actually going to cause them more pain. So if you just man up and put your feelings on the table, confess your troubles to your brothers and your sisters, go into counseling, coaching, whatever you want to call it, do the strong thing. It's stronger to talk about it than to sleep, right? If you do that thing, brother, you can be here for your family. Because I tell you, when I've had to tell kids, mom's not here, dad's not here, that is very rough on me, right? And I'd rather you come into counseling than me having to deliver this message as a psychologist, as a minister, and be able to counsel the entire community who you left behind. It is just tougher, my brothers, to be able to just talk about what's going on. There's nothing manly about keeping it in. It's something manly about putting it on the table and facing your pain. So my brothers, I love you. I hope this helps you. If you know anyone who's struggling with suicide, have them call 1-800-273-TALK, 1-800-273-TALK, the suicide prevention hotline. If you're going through that right now, you share this video. You make sure that our brothers and sisters are getting what they need, but especially our brothers. And I mean this for all men. This applies to all men, of color, not a color. All right, I love all of you, and I want you to get the help that you deserve, because it's rough out here. And no matter how tough we seem, how strong we seem, how much we can bench press, how many businesses we can create, how many things that we can do, it still gets rough out here. Men, I'm giving you permission to be able to unmask and talk about your feelings like this real world is real savage, and it'll come for you as a man. And I want you to open up, especially if you're a leader, especially if you're a pastor, especially if you're that guy, you're that alpha. Everyone comes to you to solve problems, but no one comes to you. No one asks you how you're doing, right? So my strong men out there, family, my men out there who want to be strong, who don't want to suffer, who don't want to struggle, who want to get rid of these toxic thoughts of shame, of depression, anxiety, of pressure, being disrespected, undervalued, dealing with the same crap over and over again. I want you to call that hotline. I want you to call that friend and say, yo, Give me some counseling. I'm ready to face this. I'm ready to man up and be all that I can be and let this pressure out. I love you. Take care, and God bless.